Chapter 25. They encountered small clusters of zombies along the way, 5 or 6 at a time. None of them were in any condition for close-quarters fighting, so they used the trucks instead. Ernie drove through first, Fred followed, finishing off anything still moving. They veered off the road whenever they needed to lose stragglers and ran mostly on the electric motors to keep the noise down. A few zombies still lingered, and they stopped long enough to put rounds in their skulls before moving on. The cab stayed quiet. Ernie could hear Sky's soft sniffling even over the hum of the tires. Shadow pressed against her, picking up every tremor in her breathing. The weight of what they'd witnessed sat heavy on all of them. It was the kind of memory that didn't fade, even if the world somehow found a way to right itself. A stain on the soul that stayed. Ernie had seen violent death before, men, women, children. War hardened you, but it never made you immune. Sky hadn't had that kind of armor. She shouldn't have needed it. Shadow leaned over and licked Ernie's hand once, a quiet acknowledgement. Ernie gave the dog a small nod. Shadow returned to Sky, nudging her hand until she kept petting him. Every time Ernie let out a slow breath, Sky's shoulders eased a little too, close enough that he noticed, but not something either of them was doing on purpose. In the other truck, Letty was still blotting tears from her eyes. "That was awful," she whispered. "I hope Sky's going to be okay." "I don't know if I will be." Fred kept his eyes on the road. "She'll get through it. We all will. We don't have a choice. The memories won't go away, but we'll learn to live with them. It's just worse for her because of what she walked into before we got there. We won't know how deep that damage goes until she's ready to talk." Letty swallowed. "Do you think that group will survive? After everything?" "Rachel's strong. A few of the others too. Once they've had time, yeah. I think they'll make it. I just hope nothing else hits them." Letty nodded slowly. "Where exactly are we going? Has Ernie said?" "Somewhere around Valentine, Nebraska. He didn't give details." "OPSEC. Sky might know more, but he's still learning to trust us. Can't blame him. Do you think we'll make it before dark?" Fred's voice thickened. He hated seeing women hurt, especially his sister. He was hurting too, but he'd save his breakdown for later. "I don't know. Depends on detours. Zombies, people. I don't think any of us could handle another fight with survivors today." Silence settled again. Letty sniffled softly. Fred didn't try to fill the quiet. There weren't words for this kind of pain. Only time. In the general, Sky kept her gaze on the window. "As a doctor, you think you're prepared for death," she said quietly. "But not like this. Not the world ending. Not that." Ernie's jaw tightened. "No one's prepared for that. And those men, they were animals long before the world fell apart. What happened there had to be stopped. I'm just sorry that little girl paid the price. But if they'd stayed trapped with those men, death might have been the kinder option. Now maybe the others have a chance." Sky bowed her head. "I couldn't have lived like that." Ernie's grip tightened on the wheel. A moment later, Sky's hands clenched in her lap too, different motions, same emotion. "Sky," his voice came out low, rough. "From what little you've told me, you already survived things no one should have had to." She looked up, startled. Their eyes met briefly before both looked away, not in sync, just overwhelmed in the same moment. "You lived through your own kind of hell long before today," he said softly. "Don't sell yourself short. You're stronger than you think." Sky swallowed hard. Her breath hitched. Ernie's chest rose with a steadying inhale of his own. Shadow lifted his head, watching them both. "You didn't just survive," Ernie added. "You came out the other side still trying to help people. That's rare." Sky blinked fast, tears gathering again. Ernie's eyes burned too, though he kept them steady on the road. Back at the governor's mansion, a lone woman sat on a bench by the pond, a pistol in her lap. She had gone back inside after the group left and found it. There was nothing left for her now. She whispered, "Forgive me," and pulled the trigger. The group came running at the sound. More tears followed as they buried Macy beside her daughter. No one blamed her. The world had taken everything she had. They hoped she'd found peace. They stood with heads bowed, arms around each other. Ernie bowed his head. Sky did too a moment later, both weighed down by the same grief. The miles passed. The Valentine, Nebraska sign appeared through the fog. Shambling figures moved in the streets ahead. The electric motor kept them quiet. Sky scanned the surroundings, watching for movement. The fog made everything uncertain. "Rancher, keep an eye out. Don't want any sheep following us in," Ernie said. 10-4, Shepherd. Me and Teach got our eyes open. Ernie turned onto a dirt road, then onto a barely visible two-track trail swallowed by tall grass and trees. The fog thickened. Sky leaned forward, squinting into the haze. Ernie did the same a moment later, both trying to make sense of the shapes ahead. The trail led to an old barn, large, well-kept, big enough for both trucks. They scanned the area before pulling up. Ernie opened the barn doors. Fred drove in first, then helped close and bar them once the general was inside. The barn was open, clean, with a cement floor and a large drain in the center. Sky grabbed their packs and rifles. Shadow hopped out, nose to the ground. Letty stretched. "Should we get sleeping bags? Set up something?" "No need," Ernie said. He walked to the drain, inserted a key, and lifted a hidden panel. A scanner lit up. He pressed his thumb, entered a code, and the drain cover rose, revealing a cylindrical elevator. "It only holds a few at a time. Fred, Letty, you go first. Wait in the hall and use your flashlights until I get the lights on." They descended. The elevator returned. Sky, Ernie, and Shadow stepped in. As they dropped, Sky steadied herself with a hand on the wall. Ernie did the same on the opposite side, different gestures, same exhaustion. Shadow's ears flicked. At the bottom, Fred and Letty waited with flashlights. Ernie activated the hallway lights and secured the barn from the control panel. They followed the sloping passage until it opened into a massive metal door. Ernie entered another code, and it swung open. Fred let out a low whistle. The space beyond was open and warm, overstuffed furniture, a large TV, shelves of movies, a full kitchen. The fridge was stocked and cold. "Natural gas," Ernie said with a small laugh. "This cavern sits on a huge supply. Won't run out." He showed them the supply rooms, the freezers, the armory, the suites, each with bedrooms, bathrooms, and washers and dryers. Letty counted doors. "So, 26 families? Over 50. There's a lower level too." Sky didn't want him to feel self-conscious. "Ernie, this is incredible. I'm exhausted. Can I pick a room, shower, and rest?" He smiled softly. "Of course." As she stepped past him, they both paused, both taking a slow breath, both grounding themselves after the longest day of their lives. Shadow brushed against them, nudging them forward. For the first time that day, Sky felt safe. Ernie felt it too.